So this economy of ours seems to want to do well. That doesn't mean that it's doing well. But Tony, the jobs numbers were up. Well, yeah, but they've also been revised downward. Tony, the gas prices are down. Yes, that part is absolutely true, but you still don't feel a level of relief. You don't feel a level of, all right, we're through this. And the question is, why not? Why don't we feel the relief? Is it possible that what we're being told doesn't match up to the reality? Oh, sure, you can take a look at all the indicators you want and say, my goodness, things are better, but not in our own pocketbooks. Guys, welcome to the show. Good to be with you. Presented by Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org, economic liberty, free speech. I'm down with both those things. It's been a while. It's good to be back. That is Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. He is the guy I go to when nothing makes sense whatsoever. Let me give you this 1-2 punch right here. The payrolls in December increased by 216,000, which is better than I think the 170,000 that was expected. That's headline number one. Here's headline number two, right? It's the shot and it's the chaser, Dr. Will. Initial U.S. employment reports overstated by 439,000 jobs in 2023, which means that when they put out a jobs report, sir, they go back 2 months later and they're like, you know what? We said it was 150,000 jobs. It was only 120,000. We said it was 210,000 jobs. It was only 174,000. They were off by nearly 450,000 jobs. Talk to me about the jobs numbers you saw from that December report first. Is this continuing good news for a better economy?
Well, okay, first of all, you stole my thunder. Second of all, you didn't read the memo from Cringe Jean-Pierre this morning to the media. Let me take a look at this here. Remember to tell everyone about the 216,000 jobs. Do not look at revisions. Do not look at the details of government and healthcare. Ignore those and focus on the headline, like we tell you to do every month. Well, we're going to ignore that and we're going to look at the details. You mentioned it. The down revision, so let's do some simple math. So hopefully people can do this if they didn't go to a bad public school. 216,000 new jobs. Subtract 71,000 for down revisions and subtract 90,000 for government and healthcare, which is government-induced hiring. That brings us to 55,000. 55,000 new jobs last month. That's it. That is nothing to brag about. And like you mentioned, 439,000 revisions down for the year. That's not even for the whole year. We don't have the December revisions. It could be over 500,000 jobs. Tony, we lied to people last month. You and I were bragging about how great the jobs report was. You said, look, you don't want to bear bad news. If it's good, it's good. We told the world it was good. We were wrong.
Wait a second. I asked you what the report was. I'll say that you were wrong. But I think the bigger question here is, in an average year, when we see 439,000 revisions, what's usual? What's normal for the number of revisions that take place? I mean, revisions do take place. You get a little more fine-tuned in the number after you have some time to look at the data. Is this way out of whack or just slightly out of whack?
That's a great question. And let me tell you, I did some digging on that exact question. So you got the question, but you didn't steal my thunder on it. I looked back and found that the Philadelphia Fed reported in Q2, just quarter two of 2022, 1.1 million jobs too many. They overreported. They had to down revise by 1.1 million just in the second quarter. I went back and looked. This is a modern era problem. This is a Biden era problem. We didn't have these massive revisions pre-Biden. I'm not saying this is a conspiracy. I'm not in favor of the Illuminati because I'm trying to get in, of course. But I'm telling you, there is something going on here, and the data is false, and it's a serious problem, and it's been a recent phenomenon.
Talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. This brings us to where this economy is going, and a lot of people want to talk about the soft landing. This is Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, having that conversation.
It is very rare to bring down inflation as much as we have without seeing a weakening in the job market. But we have 23 months in a row unemployment under 40%. Haven't seen that in 50 years.
So the soft landing, did it happen?
What we're seeing now, I think we can describe as a soft landing, and my hope is that it will continue.
So
that's the Treasury Secretary announcing soft landing. Look, I want it. I don't want the recession. I don't want the inflation, sir. I don't want any of that. But that's Janet Yellen on CNN stating unequivocally that the soft landing has come. Is she right?
Possibly right, but totally false in who she's giving credit to. When she says we, I'm tired of us talking about the administration and the government. The fact is that we have 8.7 million people holding more than one job right now. So she's talking about a strong labor market. That's the highest number in the history of our country. 8.7 million people are holding more than one job. So don't give me this we. This is just like we talk about the battle between Jerome Powell and Biden. It's a battle between Biden and capitalism. Biden is bad for the economy. Capitalism is good. The reason we're having a soft landing, Tony, the reason the economy is looking decent is because the government is too stupid to regulate AI. This year, AI is going to generate 10% of all data in the economy. Cybersecurity is growing by leaps and bounds. Innovation. Look at Lilly. Lilly is waiting for the stupid FDA to approve their Alzheimer's drug. They announced Lilly Direct recently. This is revolutionizing the pharma industry with telehealth, cost cutting, removing the middleman. There's a lot of innovation going on, and the economy is doing well in spite of Biden, not because of him. It's in spite of him.
Well, let's talk about something that's doing well. This is the Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, talking about gas prices.
For us in the U.S., the gas prices, for example, are at $3.09 today, 3.089, something like that, more than $1.93 lower than the peak after Putin's war. 30 states, the average is less than $3 a gallon. So we aren't seeing the price per barrel or the impact at the pump.
Now, you and I have discussed the price per barrel, talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. And the price per barrel issue is because China is utilizing much less oil. They're doing much less production, which is a big conversation about this world recession in China and their economic issues in Europe, et cetera. But in my beloved Indiana, yours too, you drive down the road and gas is indeed under $3 a gallon. So they get to take some credit for that. You're saying it's undeserved, but they can take the credit.
No, they can't take the credit because when they came in office, it was under $2 a gallon. They shot it up over $4 a gallon, and they bring it down. How does this math work? How gullible are people that they think, let's make it really, really bad, and then when we improve it a little, we'll take credit for the improvement, but please don't look at the bad. This is like the revision in the employment numbers. Look at the headline today. Please don't look at the last year and a half when we've had to revise it by over 1 million jobs. This is totally bogus. The recession globally that's happening in China and Germany is pulling down the gas prices. After they had already jacked it up and they came into office, it was lower. That's just the reality of the situation. The policies of this administration are destroying the economy, and the great innovation of capitalism and our corporate America is what's growing the economy. And I hope the capitalism wins and Biden loses.
So this falls in line with the conversation you've had consistently, that this economy has been a conversation of Biden versus Powell and who wins this fight. This is a comment that I got on our conversation. The economy is outperforming all expectations, and it's because of the positive impact from the Inflation Reduction Act and a president who, despite MAGA theater, is a good and decent man who believes in smart policies. Elect a president who doesn't believe in democracy, and you end up with the chaos that was 2020 and January 6th. I bring this up to you, sir, not to get your political perspective on this, but rather this seems to be, when we have conversations about the economy, where people go. It's a retreat to political fiefdoms and ideology as opposed to the data itself. your argument regarding Biden and the economy, is that your political belief, or is that the data that you see and you are able to interpret?
It's just factual data. I mean, first of all, that statement is a lie. The Inflation Reduction Act was an inflation creation act. Even the most liberal of economists admit that. So that's just factually wrong. The data tells us that private industry, AI, is growing at 10% in the economy. That's private industry. That's not the government. Like I said, thank God the government's too stupid to regulate AI, or they would shut it down. The things that Lilly is doing, CrowdStrike, you name Adobe, Salesforce, NVIDIA, what those companies are doing are revolutionary. Tony, I could give you stories of what insurance companies are doing with AI to improve the efficiency of claim services, to give you cheaper rates on your policies. I have lots of those stories I can share with you. I have them right here, right now. Those people are doing great things. It's not Biden. And people that throw in the politics of MAGA are trying to distract you from his bad policies.
So how often do you run into this? You're an economist at a University of Indianapolis, right there in the heart of the city. Do you run into, amongst, never mind a student set, but amongst a professional set? And I don't need you to out people or put yourself at a risk per se, but do you run into people who mistake their ideology for data, for fact, for research, for policy?
Yes, and there's a phrase, and I forget at the top of my head what it is exactly, but I can tell you of people that are even liberal politically in the university setting who have to bite their tongue and shut up because there's a political narrative that occurs that contradicts the facts. Objective, even liberal, objective people see data, and what they see is different than what they're told to say and told to speak and told to support. That's a common narrative that we see in the university world. I have a lot of colleagues at my university who are very good at speaking the truth, and we don't get in that much trouble. But I know other people who are biting their tongue, not saying what they know is factually true.
It seems to be a constant refrain, and certainly seems to be constant that people want to utilize their politics as a way of proving every other data point. But we get back to where we're going. And this idea of the soft landing, which would mean we are able to lower inflation and get out of this moment without recession. The Fed had indicated that they were looking at 3 interest rate cuts for 2024. But then a look at the minutes of that meeting contradicts that and says, well, we hope, but we're not sure we're going to be able to do it. The minutes say that everything we said out loud isn't necessarily true. Where are we feeling, or what indicators should we be looking at to see whether or not the soft landing can actually occur?
You know what? I want us to stop looking at the Fed minutes. I want us to stop looking at the reports coming out of the BEA and the BLS.gov. I want us to look at the economy, because that's going to tell us the soft landing or not. The federal government's doing a terrible job. The first 2 months of this fiscal year, $164 billion deficit. That's a $2 trillion for the year. We're forecasted to have a $2 trillion deficit. The government is doing nothing but harming the economy with that. It's the capitalism that's going to make us have a soft landing. It's innovation. I'm hoping that the government fights. We have a nice debate and it gets ugly for this election year, because if they're busy fighting, they're not going to mess with the economy, which improves our chances of a soft landing, because innovation will win the day. I sincerely believe that. I know it sounds abstract, but I really believe that. And I give you information, company after company after company that's doing great things.
Well, if you keep telling the government to regulate AI, you got to stop that. Don't give them ideas.
You got to stop it. Just like, thank goodness they didn't regulate the internet when it was developed. We wouldn't have the internet today.
Don't give them idea. I'm trying. Help me help you. That's all I'm asking for, Doctor.
Sorry, I apologize.
Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and I appreciate you guys being with us. Yeah, it's been a tick since we've done the live, and this is all going away. The new studio, the concrete is poured. It's beautiful. The lumber starts going up this week. Oh, it's going to be glorious. And then the cigars. Oh, Oh, you should see the system, the filtration system. Mwah! Chef's kiss, people. It's going to be beautiful. My thanks to you. My thanks to Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org. Economic liberty, free speech. That is where it's at. And I will catch you next time, guys. Take care.